Our population's decreasing. We want businesses to move here. We don't have the workforce to support those businesses. Families are not moving here because we don't have the early childhood ecosystem to support those families.
The Missouri Chamber of Commerce estimates it to be over $1.1 billion every year that our state's economy loses just from childcare challenges.
If you want an answer to crime, if you want an answer to some of the other ills that are plaguing St. Louis, it starts right here.
Right here.
Closing those gaps.
In October 2025, 9 PBS Reports organized a series of discussions around the national child care shortage, what it means for our region and our state. Led by Tamyka Perine, Executive Director of Gateway Early Childhood Alliance, these conversations featured early childhood experts, advocates, providers, and parents who represent communities all over Missouri. Each discussion focused on a specific aspect of childcare, exploring the challenges, formulating solutions, and celebrating not only recent policy changes, but also the tireless efforts of those who fight for quality and equality for providers and parents, and the future of Missouri's children. This week, our group will explore the challenges parents face when searching for quality childcare, discuss the value of early education, and reveal some exciting new developments that will help both providers and families with accessibility and affordability.
So I know, Javia, you have a 2-year-old.
Yes.
And you struggled when you decided to go back to the workforce, right?
Yes. He actually recently just started daycare a month ago, which is crazy. He was home with me. And so when we first decided it was time for him to go to daycare, probably around 1, we got a lot of, there's a wait list, or like for 2 years or 3, which I couldn't believe. I was like, what, how was I supposed to plan for this? I mean, there were opportunities for him to attend certain daycares, but I don't believe that all of them were accredited or fit what we were looking for my child to continue on the developmental path that he was on and what we wanted to see for him. And I know that sounds crazy. He's 1, right? No. But we were like, we're on a good path here. We just want to keep the ball rolling. 1, go!
I say he has her social personality as far as socialization. So
It's your curiosity.
and my curiosity, yeah.
This is going to sound vain, but I think he's adorable. Seriously, he's just so cute to look at all the time. He's so adventurous, so interested in exploring, and no, sir. No, sir. No. With limits. Yes. Yes. Okay. Our journey with childcare has been like many other first-time parents, just trying to find the right childcare and the right quality. I travel a lot for work. I work in human resources, specifically recruiting, and so I'm constantly on the road. So again, thinking about a childcare facility or thinking about childcare, that is going to be very balanced and very consistent.
And the bar is set very high, since Robin's parents have been helping to care for Lawson part-time, setting up a little school and playroom for him at their home.
My parents, they do a wonderful job with him. But I mean, taking care of a toddler is no easy feat for anyone. So, just having to care for him. Sorry.
But as he continues to grow and explore, the Hines are looking to expand their son's world.
I mean, just raising, a young Black boy, I think it's just important for him to be able to view all that the world has to offer. So diversity is equally as important to us. One of the challenges that we faced, number one, was we were looking for part-time care. And so, just with facilities, that's not always their priority. Naturally so, they're always looking to fill their spots with full-time kids. And then on top of that, just the timing. I mean, people have their daycares picked out before their child is even born. And so we also started our search a little bit late.
Kartika, you have centers and you've had wait lists, right?
Yes, because we respect children, we respect parents, we respect our staff. I lowered our capacity because I want to be able to serve the families that trust me with their children and serve them well.
But I think even as a parent, it's still hard to navigate that space of defining what quality is because there's no consistent definition of quality.
Exactly.
And there's no, I think, even knowledge sometimes of how do I find the right center.
We always start with just internet reviews, what people are saying on the internet, and then also actually putting our eyes on the facility and going in, taking tours.
Sometimes the kind of approach where you're having to kind of find facilities on the internet, it makes it kind of difficult because you get people's worst experiences.
Absolutely.
You don't get anyone saying, hey, this was great. And, it's very hard to get those reviews. But when we go on the internet and look at a Google or anything else, you'll get someone's worst experience with a place, which is very biased. So that's why we do have to do our due diligence and go in and see these facilities, see what they look like, the cleanliness, kind of meet the staff and all that too. So
full disclosure, I started studying early education when I was in college, and then several years later I became a mom. Even if you're educated, you think you know everything, you come to this place where you're like, okay, now I have to find childcare. So I mean, there are resources that I think need to be promoted more that help families do that. Every state has a resource and referral agency, and in Missouri, that's Child Care Aware of Missouri, and they're responsible for they do a lot of the data tracking of different programs and have kind of searchable engine where parents can go and search and try to find childcare that meets their needs, connecting to things like licensing reports and other things. But if you've never looked at any of that, you don't necessarily
I've never
know.
even heard of it.
Yeah, but even if you do though, you go down the rabbit hole and you start looking at these licensing reports, that doesn't even tell you everything you need to know. And
quality is a subjective term. What's important to one parent may not be important to another. When I first started in early childhood, it's way back in 2009, people would call and okay, do you do transportation and do you accept subsidy? That was it.
Yeah.
That was it.
And they would enroll their children in my center, whether not
sight unseen.
Sight unseen. I had to make it mandatory at least once a month that you have to bring your children yourself.
Yeah.
We have to be intentional about raising awareness about quality, what you should expect, what you deserve.
That really highlights a problem of just how much people need childcare, because people feel like they just have to do what's available to get their child just some sort of care so that they can, like you said, pay the rent, get to work. I think we're also missing the largest piece of that too, is the financial part of it. Mm-hmm. As a parent, I wholeheartedly want your staff to make a living wage. I completely believe in that, and I think they deserve that. But also, this is my car note and my mortgage wrapped up in one for a 1-year-old.
Childcare is extremely, extremely expensive.
Yes.
Honestly, don't know how some families can even afford it for the most part.
I feel like you can't put a price on care for your child. However, you see that sometimes the price of the child care is not reflective in other areas of the care. Properly paying your staff, which I think can affect the way that your staff is caring for the little ones in your facilities. The facilities itself not being updated, not being modern, the nutrition, the education, the curriculum. I think all of these things should equally match what the cost is. It is an area of opportunity for just us as a society to be sure that all children get the care that they deserve, no matter what family that they come from.
There's a broken market, right? Mm-hmm. So childcare costs too much for families alone to bear that burden. But it's also, providers like Cortega want to have that quality in their center. Mm-hmm. They want their staff to be paid well. When you kind of get into the weeds of the shortage, it's really a shortage of infant and toddler care. And the reason for that is our staff ratios, because we need them to have that care, that support, that one-to-one attention. So
What is the ratio?
4 to 1, in Missouri.
So one staff for every 4 babies.
And that's contentious, because some people would say, let's just have more babies to one staff. And then that's where you start sacrificing quality, safety,
mental health of your staff,
mental health of the staff, and all of those things. So a long time ago, as a society, we decided that education for our children in the K-12 space was something we wanted to be mandatory. But we don't think about when they're a baby, the 0 to 5. And what science tells us is that's when all of these neuroconnections are happening. They're setting themselves up for the the rest of life. They're learning how to experience the world. They're learning attachment and those things that help them to be good little citizens and good little learners.
Working in human resources, especially within recruiting, we learn that career trajectory starts even when they're his age. So who these people turn into, it starts so early on. We've been hoping that we can find a facility, see where he can go and explore, and that also could be a great transition for him into pre-K.
I don't think that people understand that early childhood education, it's the long game, right?
It is.
And when we don't prioritize giving children access to this early on, it widens those gaps. I mean, it widens those gaps, the achievement gaps, the wealth gap, right? And even health. I'll never forget, I had a mom, and she enrolled her child in our center. She said, he's nonverbal. We had him to get a physical. Turns out he was deaf. She never would have known.
Wow.
Then another child found out that he had lead poisoning.
Oh, wow.
So just imagine if he had never been enrolled in an early childhood center that adhered to the regulations, the long-term impact. So it's much more than ABCs and 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
A lot of times we just undervalue that early childhood educators are trained in development. They're educated in all of these signs and things that we should be seeing. And when you're at a good center, those educators are walking the walk with you and helping you see all those things in your child that you might not see. And then working with you as a family on strategies to, work on those different behaviors and things. So it's not just the early intervention, but I think they are a support for the families, not just the children.
Even finding his facility now at 2 has been really great for our family. I thought that I was doing an excellent job. I was like, I'm being a great mom. I'm navigating around his nap time and his meal times. But now that he's in daycare, the ability for me to be able to run the business at the capacity I'm running again, which feels like 300% compared to what I was doing, is amazing.
When you have a parent whose child is enrolled in a quality early childhood center, that's another person who's seeing that mom every day and who can identify when something is off with her. She may be drowning. You can intervene. Early intervention for parents as well to prevent catastrophic things that could happen as a result of her not being emotionally well.
Missouri has one of the lowest eligibility rates in the country for federal child care subsidy, which means many middle-income families struggle to afford it. To close this gap, Kids Win Missouri worked with partners and communities all over the state and country to secure funding for a program called Child Care Works.
The idea of the program is really splitting the cost of childcare between the state, employers, and parents. And so employers have to have a little buy-in for their employees, but that helps to leverage state dollars as well. And so for some families, it can combine to lower their childcare costs by up to 75%. And so we also worked federally with our congressional delegation and Congressman Smith to improve the federal employer-provided tax credit. So for employers, for their contribution, they're now able to get a larger federal tax credit by a lot.
It's good to know that there are people on every side who are trying to find solutions for us as parents, because it doesn't, when you're in the thick of it with a little baby, it doesn't always feel like that there are a lot of systems set up to see you succeed or, so I think I speak on behalf of a lot of moms that we really appreciate you guys, because it can just feel very, very lonely and very bleak. And being a parent shouldn't feel like that. So,
Because having a baby is like one of the greatest joys.
It is.
Whether you birth them or adopt them or however they come into your life. Children bring so much joy.
They do.
In addition to so many other things, but
That's the scariest, greatest joy.
Right.
It is.
Right.